Hello, and welcome to Once Upon a Time in Black History. I am your host, Tamara Shiloh, author, educator, and owner of the Multicultural Bookstore in Richmond, California, and Las Vegas, Nevada. You can also find us on my website at onceuponatimeInBlackHistory.com. Our shows are sponsored by the Multicultural Bookstore, and if you're interested in becoming a sponsor, please send me an email at tamarashiloh@gmail.com. Alrighty then, let's get this party started. Okay, today I'm going to talk about Ona Judge, the slave who escaped from President George Washington. Slavery was a cruel and miserable time for people of color. Many were beaten, tortured, or even separated from their families. Their resistance to captivity took many forms, including devising means of escape. Not even George Washington's boasted level of influence would prevent the personal servant of Martha Washington, his wife, Ona Judge, from escaping his Philadelphia mansion. You see, it was during a presidential dinner that Ona packed her bags for freedom. She had been put on notice that Martha Washington was going to give Ona to George Washington's grandfather, and that did not set well. During an interview in 1845, Ona shared, she said, "I had friends among the colored people of Philadelphia, had my things carried there beforehand, and left Washington's house while they were eating dinner." Smart girl. She purchased a ticket for a ship bound for Portsmouth, New Hampshire. In order to protect the ship's captain, John Bowles, Ona would not mention his name for years to come. She said, "I never told his name till after he died a few years since, lest they should punish him for bringing me away," she said. Ona decided to settle in Portsmouth, where she married and had 3 children. In the meantime, the Washingtons learned of Ona's whereabouts and were making every effort to reclaim her. Over the course of their lives, the couple owned hundreds of slaves, but they especially viewed Ona as Martha Washington's private property. According to some historians, Washington hired a man named Bassett to locate Ona and return her to their Mount Vernon home. So he ordered Bassett to use force, if necessary, to persuade her to cooperate and return. But Bassett was unaware that Ona had allies in Portsmouth also. Bassett, during his mission, was to stay with John Langdon, governor of Portsmouth. But unfortunately for Bassett, Langdon was opposed to slavery, and he told Ona that Bassett had arrived. She, however, didn't need these warnings because she stood her ground on her own and resisted Bassett's attempts to coerce her back into slavery. She was not having it. She said, "I am free now and choose to remain so." Later, she would give a series of interviews to abolitionist newspapers. She alleged that the Washingtons administered brutal punishments to rebellious slaves and tried to sidestep Pennsylvania's 1780 gradual abolition law by moving slaves to and from the state every 6 months. Washington, for his part, wrote that he was shocked at Ona's ingratitude. Imagine that, stating that she had fled without any provocation. The thought that being a slave wasn't enough. He rebuked claims that Judge was treated unfairly and denied that she requested to be freed when Martha Washington died. He also dismissed it as totally inadmissible and saying that giving in to Ona's demands would reward unfaithfulness and lead the far more deserving of favor to mutiny. According to a later statement by Ona, after Washington's death, the family never bothered her again. Ona's 3 children died before her, as well as her husband. Because of the Fugitive Slave Act of 1793, signed into law by Washington, she lived the rest of her life as a fugitive. Now, imagine that. See you next time. Thank you for tuning in to Once Upon a Time in Black History. For more information on this topic and others, visit the Multicultural Bookstore at multiculturalbookstore.com. And again, if you want to advertise in our podcast for a mere $25, please contact me at tamarshiloh@gmail.com. See you next time.